All right, so I kind of messed up earlier, I felt, um, with the statement that I made. And I wanted to kind of like backtrack and kind of try to make that right. I said something like, oh, being tested on, yada, yada. And I wasn't even like a wild drug dealer or anything. And I just want to correct that. Um, it shouldn't matter whether or not someone is a, drug dealer or anything like that. Um, they still shouldn't be subject to uh, inhumane treatment, torture, things of that nature. And if that were the case, then it would just be very easy to push a whole bunch of people into, or set a whole bunch of people up to become dealers or to become prostitutes. I know that was like those are like the sets of people who I guess it's worked out with China and between a bunch of other people. That like people, I guess, decided that it was okay to target certain people as long as they were homeless or as long as they were dealers or as long as they were prostitutes or whatever. And so there was like this massive movement to make as many people homeless and turn as many people into prostitution and into dealers as possible, which is really a super nasty, horrible thing to do. And, people have been so into it that just like in my situation, they do it to their own family members and friends, neighbors, and everybody's into it. And, they've got over half the nation gang stalking the other half of the nation, pretending that there's no such thing as gang stalking. And then if you've ever seen that movie Gamer, they at least have it worked out in that one to where like it's people who are facing like death sentences and stuff, people who actually did get in trouble for like big stuff. Which I'd hope that they wouldn't just as I said, set people up for, good people. Not that bad people should necessarily be set up, but I'm just saying that in the movie Gamer, this is a concept which I don't necessarily agree with this either, this gladiator setting, you know what I mean? But at least in that situation, the inmates or the potential candidates for this game knew about it beforehand. And if they won, then they actually like won their freedom. In the movie The Hunger Games, we're shown a very similar concept. But whenever it comes to real life, you don't actually have to have done anything wrong to begin with to be put on any list. You could even be put on a list as a baby or a child. And there are a number of different lists, making it a little bit more complicated. And you don't just randomly get put on the list or always get put on the list because of something that you did or because of who you are or anything like that. Sometimes you get put on the list because people pay to have you put on the list. Sometimes you get put on the list because one of your family members knows about a list that they can put you on and get you out of the way, and then potentially have quicker access to things like wills, assets, properties, trust funds, stocks, bonds, your husbands and wives and children. Actually, when I said that, I was actually thinking about, I had a flash in my head of the issues that are going on with like the government and El Chapo and his kiddos and stuff like that. Like I had this instant flash in my head. I was like, I could almost see like if I was, the leader of, some, hardcore gang or organization or something like that, I could almost see the government or the military using me as some kind of special target practice or, research project, knowing that and me not really having a whole lot to say about it, especially if there's something weird going on. I don't know. And even then, I think that would be a really bad person to select for something like that. But for some of these projects, which more than one, I think a YouTuber actually expressed this, that for a lot of these projects, they would deliberately choose people who were um, either already disabled, which is honestly cruel. You know what I mean? That in itself is honestly cruel, you know? Or they would choose people who were, they say, already prostitutes. And there you go. That again also is cruel as well, unless you're paying that person for access. Because who's to say that that person isn't really a prostitute? Who's to say that they're not a trafficking victim instead? A lifelong trafficking victim, you know what I mean? Who's to say that they haven't been waiting the entire time for their government or for somebody to come in and rescue them, and then all of a sudden the only thing the government comes in and does is put a camera in their eye so that they can watch. You feel me? Whereas like the system that I came up with is a system that would actually take all of those people who you guys apparently think aren't worth anything and would rehabilitate them and even grow their minds to a better version of themselves. And who's to say that they wouldn't live to be 200 years old? Like, I'm serious. Like, I think that we should all get that chance. I don't think that it should only be something that, only the world leaders get to, have longevity and live like kings and, you know, enjoy their lives, and the rest of us just have to live like mere mortals and slaves. Still, if you're going to be picking a prostitute or a drug dealer, then you're still choosing people who they're already their lives have already been complicated in some way, or they're already a lot of those people might be limited. Now, some of them sure do it just because they think it's fun, because they want to be drug dealers. They want to live like that, and it's fun for them. And some of them are addicted, and that's how they get theirs. Some of them are honestly having a good time. Some of them are just going through a little phase. But still, like the idea of somebody who has a military job, that like pretty much any drug dealer that there is, if you offered them a job with the military, I would say that over 90% of dope dealers out here would, in a snap of a finger, take the job with the military. Like, especially the ones who have bad, you know what I mean, bad reports, bad whatever. I would say if not 90, then a pretty high percentage of them would automatically would join the army and stop dealing dope overnight. I know that sounds bizarre. A lot of these people who have had felonies, a lot, you know what I mean? A lot of them would. If they could join the military, they would. So it's like, to them, to them, to be in your shoes is a step up. Or, you know what I mean? To a lot of these dope dealers and prostitutes and homeless people and a lot of these lower end people that, the military or the cops or whatever have to watch, your life is a step up from theirs. Like, to be you would probably be like living in paradise compared to the lives that some of these people have had. And a lot of them really do think that they can trust in you. They really think, I mean, there's people who are yeah, like F the police, you know what I mean? There's people who are like, yeah, don't trust them, don't trust the government or whatever. But there's a lot of people who do trust the government. There's a lot of people who do trust the military and they trust the police. And I can't tell them whether or not they should or shouldn't. What I can say is that it's really cruel for you guys to be picking on people who really, to a lot of them, to be picked on by someone in authority like that, it's absolutely traumatic. And there really is this running theme of people people in authority kind of just generalizing everyone, just kind of lumping everybody together, and thinking of everyone as having the same sensitivity level. And everyone does not have the same sensitivity level. And sensitivity does matter. You obviously wouldn't be wanting to use the same force and take the same tone with, a young a woman, you know what I mean, a young teenage girl or a young woman, you wouldn't necessarily need to take the same tone with them as you would need to take with, you know, maybe an older adult dude who's a little bit more, you know what I mean? I've seen it go both ways, don't get me wrong, but there is something about what tone and what sensitivity level that you have with certain people. And when you show a really high amount of just treachery and just great insensitivity to people over the course of time, you begin to lose. You begin to lose the faith of the people. You begin to lose morale. This is actually a really important point that Sun Tzu makes in The Art of War. And if you don't think that ancient Chinese war teachings are important, I would invite you to go back and do your homework. You know, even if you're a part of the American military, you should probably read up on that. And if the people who are kind of running DARPA don't know anything about the art of war, I mean, like, I can tell. Just because you think that someone might have essayed somebody or that they might be no matter what crime that you think that they committed, anything like that, I would not just throw them into any human experiments or anything like that. I would absolutely put a cease to all of that. Like, you guys have done quite enough human experiments to last us all for, you know what I mean? Like, you've literally done human experiments in so many different countries over the course of time. Like, the same Nazi experiments that I grew up, that, like, I was in middle school in ISS reading about the same experiments that you guys did on me, have done to me within the last 15 years. So as far as I'm concerned, the answers to those experiments, somebody had already given you the answers to all of those things, like going on 60, 80 years ago, something like that. You didn't need to do it to me. So it's like, okay, so now this is the second time that I've heard of somebody doing this. This is the third time I've heard. This is okay. It's going on the 5th, 10th time that I've heard about you guys being cruel and using the same cruel measure and method on civilians in one country or another. It needs to end at some point. Okay, now you guys have so many different results with so many different people. I hope that you can add it all to this great big giant catalog of all the human experiments that you've done, and that we can be just done with that. Because what you're doing, obviously, it's getting to the point where you're just calling something an experiment. You're just calling it a project or a program, but really it's just an excuse to be a toucher and to be a pervert and to be an abuser and to be a wretch and to be a meanie butt and to be obnoxious and to do rituals on people. Yeah, to practice your nasty rituals and stuff, just to have an excuse just to hurt people. To give yourself this open space to hurt people and to call it a secret, special, top secret government fucking operation. Like, if there's any way that we could just not do that sort of thing anymore, it would be really cool. Like, at the base level of everything is the whole human rights thing. It's pretty important. It's like the biggest, most important part of the whole thing. If you don't have that part, then like nothing else is gonna work out or fall into place. Like, it's just not like the rest of it doesn't actually have value if we're just having to live in torture, being chased across the nation, being poisoned, being harvested from, and all this, and it's just a secret, and we're the greatest nation on the planet. We're on fire. We're just all on fire for Jesus out here. So on fire, but we have literal slaves, whole slave driving network. Legit, the human trafficking network, it's spread all across the United States. It's like over half the people here are all involved in human trafficking. And the one part of any app that they use the most to target people is Facebook dating. They can actually get into your Facebook dating app. They can delete anyone who tries to speak to you or send you a message or anything like that. They can delete any messages that they send you, and they can make sure that the messages from the people who they pay to be douchebags are the messages that make it to you first and are at the forefront of everything. They'll delete anybody else off there who might be real, if there even was anybody who was on there real, because most of the people who are real get on there and realize that everybody's fake and then get off of there. Or it's just really difficult to meet people, or you meet people and then you get like wound up and sucked into like some crazy weird stuff, or robbed, or you know what I mean, held captive. You know, it's that's why. That's what that is. The trafficking network is really bad. I'm going to have to make a video about that, I guess, but that all kind of has tied into this as well. Like the different trafficking networks and the different gangs and all that stuff. Even though you would think that all of that is only just outlaw, all of those people, all of those informants, all those little gangs and groups that you think are all outlaws, that you would think would never rat each other out or work with the law or whatever, they like pretty much all work for the police. They're all easy to call up and utilize at any time. They can have pretty much anybody from any gang go pick up any old Lucy who's hitchhiking off the side of the road, and you know what I mean, and have that person just act like they're just you know, sweet old man traveling through, don't know nothing about nothing. And people can try to say that what happened to me was only the work of like a group or two of people. If they try to tell you that, they are so full of it, because a lot of people had to work together to make sure that I was just fucking out there, just out all throughout the U.S., just like literally moved and pushed from place to place and really not allowed to stay anywhere, and just treated like really, really badly, and attacked in plenty of different ways and poisoned and all kinds of things. But also I wanted to tell you guys that as far as the eye camera injection goes, they say that the way that the eye camera is injected, they say that this was really important whenever she told me this, so I don't think that I have remembered to like tell you guys this part, but it's supposed to be this needle that is injected into your temple, and like I don't know if it goes through in here, I don't know. And I couldn't tell if she said that I was conscious or unconscious when they gave me mine, but she says that that they inject us into the temple, and that it's this long needle that goes into the eye, and it injects the eye with this little nano one version, or the latest version, I guess, is supposed to be this little nano teardrop shape swimming guy that can swim up to your eye, and everybody can just, I guess, I'm pretty sure that they can watch what's going on their phones. They have the programs to watch everything that they're doing on their phones or whatever, or that we're doing on their phones. I think that as mankind, if we would get over this weird idea that we have to hurt people in order to make discoveries and find cures for things, or get the answers for things, or get the money that we need, or you know, all the other reasons that you guys have, I feel like that you could do a little bit better problem solving than that. I feel that you could be a little bit more creative than that. You know, times are changing. Not only is it 2025, but there have been advancements made just within the last 6 months, or discoveries that they're actually, you know, being honest about within the last 6 months, rather than, you know, keeping those because they've actually known about this extra technology and stem cell research tech and stuff, all this information that they're releasing right now, that they act like, oh, we just made these great advancements that are going to make it to where now we have the cure for cancer. Now we have the, you know, cures for all these different things. when I'm pretty sure that they actually had that all along, not they as in all of them, but maybe it just, there might have been a few that just kind of like held out on us here for a long time. Sorry to have gotten a little bit graphic there about the injection thing. Like, it is a really horrible thing, but I mean, it's something that is people are really going through. It really happened. So that part sucks. And anyway, I pretty much just wanted to get on here and correct myself from earlier. And that movie Gamer, if you haven't seen it lately, that reminds me a lot of this situation. And then there was another movie that I started watching over at somebody's house the other day, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like there are people that they're able to watch from satellite or from drone or something like that. And they're watching these people move about, and they're placing bets, and then they're like fighting over the bets and stuff like that. And they got everybody on surveillance. They've got like a whole TV crew down there, and has like an underground casino that they're sitting in, gambling over these people. So that's supposed to kind of be how it is for the people who have these eye cameras too. Only, it wouldn't be people watching from drone footage or from satellite footage or whatever. And I think that these ideas for a few of these films actually come from, and, the Hunger Games and things like that. I think that a lot of those actually come from, they're inspired, they're stories and events that are inspired by, real life episodes of secret things that whatever agent wasn't allowed to tell the truth about, or agents or whatever. And so the best that they could do was create something very similar for us to get that to paint that picture for us, or to give us an idea of what it is that they what that experience actually was like or is like. Was hella bizarre to me for the Hunger Games to be such a serious movie whenever I watched it the first time. And I didn't even I knew that I was in some form of the Hunger Games the first time that I watched it. And I had little kids at the time. And my daughter and I watched it, and we cried our eyes out because we both felt like we were actually living that movie. And then after all these years, to be put in it again, the Hunger Games, just in a much harsher, meaner version of it, that, I wouldn't say that no kid would have survived, because, I mean, you guys put the kids through a lot, and it needs to stop for real. And I shouldn't have to face any consequences for saying that, because others shouldn't have actually taken it this far. And the ones who did should have already done something to try to make it right before now. But here we are, and, I could be making a way bigger fuss of it than I am, but I'm at least handling it like this. So, so anyways, I know that you're going to practice a little bit more compassion and civility towards your citizens. It's going to be this new thing that we're going to practice together. Together. But hopefully separate eventually. If we could just separate eventually, that would be so bomb. Seriously, the conjoined twin that I've just been waiting for some surgeon to come along and remove. And, one thing that you could definitely use all of that research material that you guys gained from all of your abuse networks and tactics, one thing that you could use that for, is to begin to teach that same sensitivity that you've lacked this entire time. Maybe you guys could use some of that brainwashing expertise to begin influencing the public to where, they might have hearts for the children and the innocent people again. Maybe people could just tone it down a little bit. It's obviously not that great of an idea that troops come in and militarize the area because, as soon as that begins, what that's setting you up for are other troops from other countries coming in here and militarizing your cities instead of your own military, which is what I wrote to you guys about when I was 14 years old. So it'd be really cool if you'd take me seriously. Yeah, most certainly the kids need to be taken care of a little better. And I pretty much know that you guys are probably not going to get on the whole taking care of your homeless thing, which is also an issue that Ezekiel talks about, that you guys are really, really bad about. Because somebody else is actually supposed to step in and put special places up for people because you guys end up failing to do so in the future. It's really a shame. I really wish that instead of just doing what you guys already heard is going to take you to your detriment, like there's no part of your like US or military or anything that actually takes the information about your homeland security and your national security from psychics and actually uses it to make sure that nothing bad happens to the country. You instead get rid of the psychics who warn you about what is or could happen to the country, and then you let those things happen to the country and you try to hide the people who tried to warn you about it. That's really weird that you guys do that. It's almost like you guys have some enemies right within your ranks. So we live in a day and age where there's plenty of us. We have really advanced technologically. We do have the ability to do all these magical and mysterious and wonderful things that you guys want to do so bad with your tech. Only you do have the ability to do it without injecting people with nanoparticles or injecting people with anything. You shouldn't have to open a hole in anyone's skin to accomplish any of your missions. That's bizarre. Okay? It shouldn't take a shot. It shouldn't take a surgical procedure. It shouldn't take an incision. It shouldn't take an implant. It shouldn't take any of that silly, weird, funny things and stuff, okay? Nothing invasive. We call that an invasive procedure, and invasive procedures are a no-no. So, because you guys are smart, genius problem solvers, like that one guy who you guys didn't vote for. You guys didn't vote him in office. He was a genius. That guy. Jeez, what was his name anyways? Ben Carson. Thank you. A genius, okay? You guys got to be able to think bigger than just being fucking dorks, okay? You guys got to think a little bit more non-invasively. No torture, okay? Torture is for your enemies, not for, just some girl that you have the hots for that lives over in whatever apartment complex. Come on now. And those little invisibility suits, you guys can't just be renting those out to anybody. For real, like, you just let all your friends just borrow the invisibility suit once in a while. Like, what the fuck? The same thing with the energy weapons rentals. That has gotten way out of hand. It's all just gotten way out of hand and wrong. Like, at this point, we actually know when we're getting hit with energy weapons. That's how prevalent they've gotten with their attacks with them. Like, there's been a lot of misuse of proprietary technology. You guys have really abused the resources at your disposal. Not only are you going to have to basically remove and completely replace your child neglectful services, but you're going to have to rewrite pretty much everything that has to do with people, medicine, insurance, child services, just everything the whole way around needs a complete makeover and and all of that. And it's going to take more than what any one president can do by